Don't forget, ko-fi.com/stopwritingalone is a real simple way to show your support for what's going on here week after week. Hi everyone, this is Nicole Rivera and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast for writers who are looking for their writing community. I know you want to find readers for your work, but I think your first step is to connect with other writers. That's what we're going to do here in the Stop Writing Alone podcast. We'll do writing prompts and other writing group activities, discover online writing communities, learn how to find local writing groups, or how to make your own. Join us as we explore, learn, and write. This week's episode of Stop Writing Alone is sponsored by Sam Kimberly Designs. Sam is a polymer clay artist. She creates art, jewelry, Christmas ornaments, and it's all amazing. To hear an extensive description of what Sam has been up to and why you might find her name familiar, head to episode 96 or hop on over to the Stop Writing Alone Instagram account where I shared my awesome cardinal ornament for you to see. And then head on over to samkimberlydesigns.com. But remember, Kimberly is spelled with an E at the end. Sam's having some Black Friday sales this week, so don't miss out. Head on over today. The link will be in the show notes. And thanks again, Sam, for sponsoring this week's episode. Now let's get to it. Hi, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. Congratulations, November is over. December is here. For those of you who participated in NaNoWriMo, you have either quote unquote won or not. But either way, chances are you did not finish your novel in the month of November. It takes far more than 50,000 words to complete a first draft of a novel. So this week, I want to talk to you about making the commitment to finish that novel. James Scott Bell, who's written a number of excellent books on story structure, the writing life, plot and structure. He's got this awesome theory about the mirror moment in the middle of our stories. So he has a book about writing a novel from the middle out. So he said, finish your novel because you learn more that way than any other. And I have to agree. I think one of the things that gave me the greatest confidence as a writer myself was back in 2011 when I did my first NaNoWriMo. It wasn't the 50,000 because when I got to the 50,000 words, I think I've told you guys, I've really rushed to get through it because I was hosting Thanksgiving that year and I was terrified of having to choose between family and writing and all of those responsibilities and juggling them. So I rushed. I got my first 50,000 words out by the end of week 2 of November. But I was nowhere near the end of the story. And even though I wasn't really familiar with acceptable word counts for published young adult novels or anything like that at that time, I just knew I hadn't reached the end. So I came back to it and I kept writing. And I believe it was the first or second week of December where I hit, I wish I could remember exactly for that novel. It was either 74,000 or 79,000. I don't know why. It's one of those two numbers, but I know it's one of those two numbers. And that was a moment where I had felt like so many different things click into place in a way that they never had before. I saw how the ending could then circle back to the beginning, and it helped me then reframe everything that was going on in the story just by knowing fully how I got from point A to B to C, ultimately ending at Z. It just was a different picture, even though it was a hot mess of gobbledygook. It was a complete hot mess. It wasn't just the beginning of it. So I have another quote for you. And if you follow me at Stop Writing Alone on Instagram, you've seen both these quotes because I shared them both on Monday. But from Neil Gaiman, he says, most people can start a short story or a novel. If you're a writer, you can finish them. Finish enough of them, and you may be publishable. And I think this is the real aha moment for all of us. That, yes, we hear people, I'm sure every single time you've told someone you're a writer, most people will come back and say, oh yeah, I have a story idea. Oh yeah, I want to write a book. And not everyone has even sat down to start it. But many people may have sat down to write a story or two. The difference between an ordinary person who writes down the imaginings in their brain and someone who can call themselves a writer with a focus on future in this business is that writers take those ideas all the way through to the end. And that's true if you're writing short stories. That's true if you're writing poetry. That's true if you are writing novels. So in this moment, you may be exhausted from all of the output that you did for NaNoWriMo. The question is, what are you now going to do to make sure that you finish this novel? What structure are you going to set up for yourself? What schedule are you going to set up for yourself? So it was on Reddit again, and I talked to you guys about this last week about how it was a complete time suck. But the other great thing about Reddit is that there is loads of community there. There's lots of conversations around whatever topic you're interested in, and that includes writing. So I think it was in the Nano subreddit. I'm not sure. But a subreddit is just basically a section of Reddit. So, and that's kind of like the topic or the group that everybody sort of gathers around. And so there is a subreddit called NaNoWriMo. And I believe it was in there that somebody said, okay, where do I find the tools so that I can maintain this after NaNoWriMo's over? And one person came back and was like, you just got to write. You got to show up every day. Like, you can't be asking this question, kind of. It was really like not a kind answer, I felt like. But there were tips in the end. But in the beginning, it was sort of like, why are you asking this? And my first response was, I can't answer that question until I know what you're looking for. And so I'm extending this advice to you as well. I've said it all throughout November that one of the great wins of a challenge like NaNoWriMo is figuring out how to fit writing into your life and really analyzing that and taking a look at what worked for you and what didn't work for you. Now is the time to put that information into action. And if you didn't do that proactively during November, now is a good time to stop and reflect. If you felt that you were successful in getting your writing done to a point that you were happy with, and again, that doesn't have to mean 50,000 words in 30 days, but you just showed up enough for your writing, and that is something that you would like to do on a consistent basis. The questions you have to ask yourself now are, why did that work in November? What did you do differently or the same? What is it that is allowing you to do that? And so I presented in this chat, although I haven't heard back from them, so I don't know what their response is. Is it the community part of NaNoWriMo that you're looking for? Is it the word count accountability that NaNoWriMo offers that works for you? Is it the availability of so many different events? In this case, this year, virtual events of writing sprints or write-ins, whether they had sprints or not. Is it the forums and that kind of community connection? And then the most extrinsic sort of reward that NaNoWriMo offers is the offers. Was it the offers? Were you really enticed by what they were giving away from their sponsors? I mean, if that's the case, then I think you kind of have to wait for NaNoWriMo or other things like it. But if it's any one of those other things, there are tools around for you to use to follow through and continue showing up in the same way for your writing. If you're looking for that word count accountability, that's one of the great new features of the NaNoWriMo website. While I'm not a huge fan of all the changes that they made, one of the things that I do believe is available to us all year round is that sort of word count statistics that we can put in a project and say, give ourselves a deadline, and then say how many words we want to accomplish and keep showing up to put our words in. But you can also do stuff like that inside the game for the words. You can do that by creating your own spreadsheet. And many people have created sort of shareable spreadsheets that you can use to graph your progress. So word count accountability isn't necessarily one of those things that it's like exclusive to NaNoWriMo. There was a time where it definitely felt that way, but I don't feel like that's the case anymore. If you're looking for, or you were really helped by all of the various community activities like writing sprints and write-ins, those things are still going on. Those things go on all the time. Yes, of course, there was probably a greater frequency while we were in the month of November, but there are certain authors that show up to do this type of thing all the time. Tamara Woods, who is on YouTube, who was a guest here on Stop Writing Alone in our first year, she's constantly sharing live events on her YouTube channel, and many of those events are write-ins. I was recently introduced to Twitch, the channel Twitch, which is or was originally created, I believe, for the gaming community, but many authors and writers have been using it to host write-in events. Audria in the Happy Campers Club had pointed out to me one Twitch user, Coffee Quills, and we had done a couple of write-ins with her, and I just subscribed to her feed, and I've been getting an email every single day that she's going live. So she's still going even though November is over. So you can go to YouTube. You can go to Twitch. You can probably still go right into the forums on NaNoWriMo and ask, is anybody doing a writing sprint or a write-in event that I can join? And the same goes for the words. They also have a forum in there that you can connect with other members. And of course, this is nothing to say that Stop Writing Alone is there for you as well. And if you sign up for the email newsletter, I will alert you when I am hosting a live write-in with the community, which will be happening a couple of times this month. I think I mentioned it last week, but in case I didn't, I am taking it a little slow in December. December is kind of like my cocoon month where I kind of hibernate and read and get ready for 2021, but I still want to connect with everybody. So there will be a couple of events, and the easiest way to know when those are happening is to make sure that you signed up for the email newsletter, because I do try to always copy and paste the newsletter onto the Facebook group, but there are times that I forget. So if you want to make sure and you want to plan, because when I forget, a lot of times I will pop into the Facebook group at the last minute live and be like, by the way, I'm doing a thing right now, and that might not be convenient to you. So those are definitely places where you can get those types of accountability sessions and events that just help you show up for your writing. And finally, there is the whole community of it all, the conversations around the writing, that everybody's in it, that high energy of, yeah, I'm with you. This is what Stop Writing Alone is all about for me, is that constantly trying to find those people that surround you that keep you in that conversation. On a global sense, I don't think there is anything quite like NaNoWriMo where that is captured, because what happens in November is that almost every writer you turn to, or every circle of writers, there's a bunch of people that are like, yeah, me too, I'm doing it too. Whereas through the rest of the year, you may find writers that you can be in conversation with about writing, but they may be at a different stage. In November, typically, almost everybody is drafting. We're all creating something new, and there's this high energy of that, excitement, anxiousness, all of these different feelings that come with the shiny new idea and bringing it to life. Whereas in another month, you may meet up with the same people, and if you're still drafting, that's great. You have one level of energy. But if they've finished their first draft and they're into revision, it's a different energy. And so I can see where that's kind of difficult to replicate. So on a global sense, I don't know that exists set to continue to happen. However, if you can find smaller writing groups, people that you can connect with, that, we're all on the same page right now, that makes those conversations and that energy back and forth more sustainable. And that is something that I think I can safely say that most, if not all, of the happy campers have experienced. That we started back in April, and everybody was sort of on a different page as to what they were doing with their writing, if they were just doing short stories, or they were trying to complete a novel, or just trying to start something new. And so the differing energies and writing focuses were there, but the support for one another, that like we're all in this together, was maintained pretty much throughout this whole year. So, and then culminated in this past month, everybody's sort of diving into NaNoWriMo, and it's like, wow, we've been supporting each other through all these like varying things all throughout the year, and now we're in it together. So it was kind of cool in that sense to have both sides of that experience. And if you have a smaller group like that, I mean, I think we were at our largest, probably like 13 members, maybe 12. So it's not a very, very large group of people. So you can really meet people where they're at. And Stop Writing Alone is not the only place where that type of thing happens. There are many communities where writers are meeting for various activities, but also meeting in Zoom calls to connect on that level. So if that is something that you need, I'm going to be working on through the end of this year. One of the things that I have been wanting to create for the Stop Writing Alone community from the beginning is a list of resources of the tools that I use, which I did try to demonstrate many of them and continue to through the end of this year on the YouTube channel, where I was sharing 52 prompts in 52 weeks. And I tried to use a brand new prompt tool that I love, that has worked for me in the past. And some were new to me, but most of them are like in my arsenal of toys that I like to use for my writing. But I also want to offer resources of various communities that are available out there, and things that I have experimented with, been excited about, that I've heard good things about. So let me know if there is one sort of avenue of resource that you feel like you really need a call out on. Is it writing prompt tools, like I said? Is it courses for writing, or is that something that you are done with? Is it books on writing? Is it various communities? Those are all the things that I sort of have in my back pocket, and then I never list them all, and I would like to do that for you guys going into 2021. So if there's something that I didn't list there, some big category, which there probably is, that I've completely forgotten about, please let me know. But yeah, things like writing YouTubers that I have found, invaluable in my growth here. Those are just some of the things that are on my mind. And as I said, December is very much a cocooning, planning, sort of just calm month for me. So I'm also thinking ahead to what are the things that you would love to have from Stop Writing Alone itself, whether that's podcast interviews or topics you would like to see me cover, or within the community itself. Would you like more events? If so, what kind? Would you like, I don't know, guys, this is the point. I just keep running dry on these different ideas. So if there's something that I'm missing, let me know. And you can do so either by emailing me directly at stopwritingalone@gmail.com, or I did request last week, and I will remind you again that I'm getting closer and closer to the 100th episode of Stop Writing Alone. I believe we are now 2 weeks away. And what I would like to know from you is what one thing Stop Writing Alone has done for you. Whether it was introducing you to someone or something new that you were able to learn from on your writing path, or whether it was helping you show up to your writing. Was it a connection that you made in the Stop Writing Alone community that has helped you move forward? These are the things I would love to hear. I would love to celebrate the 100th episode of Stop Writing Alone by hearing from the community about the things that serve them best. And it would be awesome if you could do that on our voicemail number. And that is 646-907-9607. And that also goes for if you want to share there with the things that you would like to hear from me or see from me in 2021, that is another place that you can definitely reach out to me and let me know. You can DM me on Facebook or on Instagram. All of those places I am connected to, and I would love to hear from you because I've gotten incredibly close with a fraction of the Stop Writing Alone community. And it has been just such a wonderful experience. All it takes is you reaching out. I'm looking for you guys, but you got to let me know that you are there. So, yeah, that's it. The goal for this week for you is to, if you have not already done so, make a solid plan for how and when you would like to finish your novel. And by the way, I should have made this clear from the top. When I say finish, I don't mean like I'm going to an agent, I'm ready to query. I'm talking about finishing the first draft, or what some people call the zero draft, because it's like, I can't even call this a first draft. It's such a hot mess. But getting through your story arc, beginning to end. When does that happen for you? Because for most people, that does not happen at 50,000 words. So even if you won NaNoWriMo last week, chances are you're not there yet. When is your personal deadline to make that happen? And what tools or support do you need to make that happen going forward? And if there's a way that I can help you do that, please let me know. Email stopwritingalone@gmail.com. DM me on Facebook or Instagram at Stop Writing Alone, or like I said, call the Stop Writing Alone voicemail at 646-907-9607. I can't wait to hear from all of you. I thank you 1,000 times over for listening. I will talk to you again next week. This week, there will be a brand new writing prompt for you on the NV Rivera YouTube channel. And since it's December, it will be there on Friday afternoon for you. So go check it out. We are almost done with our 52 stories in 52 weeks. I cannot believe it. But yeah, it's another challenge almost completed. And it's been quite a year. Thanks again, guys. If you haven't rated or reviewed the Stop Writing Alone podcast and it's done anything to help you out, please do so wherever you listen to this podcast. If there is a rate or review button, go on in there. There's nothing you can do to help us more than share those reviews. Have a great week. Talk to you next Thursday. Happy writing. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Stop Writing Alone podcast wherever you're listening to this episode today. Then connect with us on Facebook at Stop Writing Alone Facebook page or in the Stop Writing Alone with Nicole Rivera Facebook group. Check Instagram or Twitter where I'm at NV_Rivera to find links to our email newsletter. Recording, hosting, editing, producing. It's so much work. Disaster has struck. I finished my coffee. Tell me coffee is coming. ko-fi.com/stop writing alone.